Hello. Would you consider yourself a content person? Sometimes we think, oh, well, if circumstances were better, then I'd be content. Or if the people around me would just behave a little bit kinder, then I'd be content. Well, I think about the Apostle Paul who wrote to the Philippians. He wrote about contentment. He said, I've learned the secret to being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. Now, mind you, Paul wrote this letter when he was under house arrest in Rome. So his circumstances weren't quite perfect, and he wasn't surrounded by perfect people. But here he was able to write that he did find the secret to contentment, and it was Christ within who gave him strength. You know, in this same letter to the Philippians, Paul also wrote about joy. He said, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Well, we might not be able to rejoice in every situation in our lives, but we can rejoice in the Lord always as we look to him, as our eyes are on him and we recognize his presence in our lives. Do you know in this same letter to the Philippians, Paul also talked about a peace that passes all understanding? He talked about giving our worries and our cares over to the Lord. This is a powerful letter, this letter to the Philippians. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, A Woman's Passionate Pursuit of God. Because in this book, I walk through the book of Philippians. I walk verse by verse, phrase by phrase, because I want a woman to understand what Paul was talking about, where his enthusiasm and joy and strength and contentment came from. So I love the book of Philippians, and that's why I wrote A Woman's Passionate Pursuit of God. I hope this book will be a blessing to you as you find your strength to be content in the Lord, and as you find that peace that passes all understanding. Thanks for allowing me to share a few words with you. And more than anything, I hope that you will find the joy and contentment and peace that Paul was talking about in the book of Philippians.